Hey guys and gals out there in interwebs land, welcome back to Miyagi Mornings. I had about a week off. I was working probably harder than I normally do, getting ready for and then executing through TSP Spring 2021. We built a really cool low Miyagi as part of the feed-based systems, which kind of feeds into this topic in a roundabout way about optimism, and I'll explain that in just a minute. We built a bunch of garden beds and we had a great time, and I am tired, but I am back. I'm a little behind the curve today. Somebody asked me during the workshop if the Monday's Miyagi morning would be in front of the new Miyagi. I'm like, nope, not gonna happen, because with the way the sun hits out there, I'd have to get up really, really early. And today, I wasn't about to get up really, really early. I rolled out of bed about 7:45, which is really late for me, and it was lucky that I got up then. Then I had to go get the evil, vindictive Dana cat from the vet because the vet people were scared of her. She's like this big for those that haven't seen her. She's a little bitty, like 8-pound cat. The vet people were afraid of her, and my wife couldn't get her out. I'm like, just come home. I'll take the car. I'll go get her. So I had to go get the cats of doom. So that delayed me on an already delayed day, and I just spent a long time, and just leave it at that, going through the email that I had not been able to go through. I batched it pretty quickly. I made some snap decisions. So if you emailed me and you would expect a response and didn't get one, you pretty much need to email me again, because emailing me during a break like that, probably not the best thing. When I'm on vacation, I even check daily, right? During a workshop, everything goes to the students because that's my job. All right, so let's talk about optimism today. So the way this topic came up is during the workshop, as we were kind of finishing up the final build, which was the low Miyagi that's going to grow a plant called water hyacinth and other aquatic plants and other aquatic critters that feed both ducks and fish. The question came up, can I tell this person an estimate anyway of how much money I should save on feed costs for my ducks and how long it'll take me to get the money that I put into that system back? And it wasn't judgmental, it was just a basic question. I said, I really don't know, and I won't be able to quantify it until we run it and we start actually using it. Right? This is something that I don't know that it's ever been done the way that we did it. And yes, I'll have great content coming from you, going over the whole thing, showing you how it works. I've got some punch list stuff to work through, and then I've got more things to add on to it for function stacking. But as I was explaining this, it became clear that maybe at least a few people thought, well, maybe he's doing this because he's afraid, important word there, that we might not be able to get feed in the future. That's definitely a consideration. The fear part, no. But it may become more difficult to acquire livestock feed, especially this year. We have some real shortages on some key critical agricultural components that go into poultry feed. So that's a concern. And then my feed is kind of a premium high-end non-soy, non-GMO feed. And if there's shortages at all, that makes premium product even more likely to be pushed by shortages. So I know there's some ingredients in that feed that I use that are already showing shortages as well, outside of the world of isoflavin loaded phytoestrogen soy that I refuse to feed to my animals for good reason. But the fear thing bothered me. It stuck in me, it was just a little thing, and I explained, no, that's the wrong word. The person that used it, and I don't think they even meant it that way, like just looking to fill in a blank. But it made me think about how so many people seem to think that preppers are fear-based. That we prepare because we're afraid of what's going to happen, that we're not optimistic. And it made me realize I needed to do a Miyagi mornings episode with you guys on the importance of optimism. It's critically important. And the reason is, and I'll say this before I go on. Yes, there is a segment of people who call themselves preppers, survivalists, etc., that are Looney Tune nuts, and they're afraid, and they get all their decisions based on fear, and hence they make really bad, crappy decisions. But the majority of people who call themselves preppers are very optimistic people, and the way you can tell, they're always building shit. They're always building shit. Like, I just spent a week building 6 new garden beds. I'm sorry, 6 new garden beds for perennial systems, which are long-term, looking to the future, and this awesome new pond system. I put money and effort and blood and treasure into it. Why? Because future. And I want you to think about it this way. I watched a TV show a long time ago. It was a pretty good medical show called House MD. If you haven't seen it, it's probably worth, if it's on your streaming service, watching from the beginning. It's a pretty good show. A lot of stupidity in it too, of course. Anything out of Hollywood will. But as shows like that go, it's entertaining and it's at least smartly written. There was an episode in it where a patient had been misdiagnosed with a terminal cancer. And it had been about 6 months since the diagnosis. maybe 6 weeks, it might be more accurate. And when he found out he wasn't going to die, he was pissed off. Think about that. Mr. Jones, I know we said you had about 6 months to live 6 weeks ago, but it was a misdiagnosis. Now you're going to live. Now, he wasn't pissed off because of the emotion. He was pissed off because of the decisions he made due to the emotions and facing the reality of death. He basically spent all his money and set up like world travel and stuff like that and figured, well, by the time I get done with it, I'll be dead or near dead. So he had basically liquidated his savings to tour the world and do all the things he wished he had done. And that might seem like something an optimist would have done in the first place. But no, see, one of the reasons we don't overextend and overspend and what have you isn't due to fear. We do it because we know there will be tomorrow. We know there'll be another day and another day and another day. At least we hope that there will be. I mean, any of us could get struck by lightning or hit by a car or struck down with a terminal disease every day, but we don't sit around worrying about that. We go on with our lives. So optimism requires thinking of the future. Got it? It's real simple. I mean, if I take away your tomorrow, your optimism is gone. You want to know the person that commits suicide? The person that commits suicide is the person that says, right now, the way I feel is horrible and awful, and I don't want it anymore. And I have no reason to believe, at least in their head, that it will ever be any better than right now. I will only have this and worse forever. Not optimistic, does not want to think about the future, is not thinking about the future. The optimistic person builds stuff. I mean, it's amazing to me that my community is at times labeled fear-based when we preach things like building businesses, building up your homestead, creating communities, investing intelligently, using cryptocurrency and understanding it's the future of monetary systems. All of those things look where? The future. If you're not looking at the future, you're going to make stupid decisions. And this is not anything new. I wrote, when we started this show back in 2008, 12 tenets of modern survivalism. Tenet 1, anything that you do to prepare for disasters and emergencies tomorrow should make your life better, even if nothing ever goes wrong. People that are fear-based, they only plan for failure, and hence they make stupid decisions. And sometimes maybe that decision wouldn't be stupid if they were right about not having a future. The guy that thought he had 6 months to live in that show, that had no heirs to worry about, that was thinking, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to see all the things and do all the things I wish I'd done and never did, right? If that was true, then his decision was intelligent. And at least the character in the show based it on what seemed like good, solid medical information. But, you know, doctors can be wrong. Now, if that was me, I'd still be pretty happy about it. The character was never happy about it. He decided to sue the hospital and the doctor. I think it was one of Wilson's patients, right? Over this because of catastrophic loss due to bad information. Do you know what I would have done? Well, I made all that money once. Let's get on it and do it again. Let's build another business. Let's go take this story, this amazing story that I have now. You know, let's just go ahead and go on all these trips. Cancel the ones you can, get a little bit of money back so that we have some seed money. And let's go. And let's go document this amazing journey and use it to spring off something else, to find something else. Do you know why? Because I'm optimistic. And I want you to understand that when I talk about things like the Great Reset, when I talk about the evil shit that our governments are doing, local, state, federal, and global, and evil shit oligarchs are doing all over the world, evil shit globalists are doing, okay? That's all real. And guess what? It always has been. As long as the psychopaths have been in charge, which is as long as we've had true states, as long as there have been states, there has been psychopaths running states because most people don't want the power. That's something really important to understand. If someone is seeking power in the world beyond their means, they are a psychopath or sociopath or sometimes both, because most of us don't want this job. Most people, if you said you can be president and I'll give you 6 months to get ready, would say, I don't want it. I don't want to be the president. Most people wouldn't want to be a governor. Most people wouldn't want to be on the town effing council or the school board. Do you know why? Because most people are not sociopaths or psychopaths, and therefore they do not want to exert power over other individuals. So sitting around and worrying that these evil bastards are doing evil things is pointless. We have a finite period of time on this planet. And what makes me optimistic is the people of this planet have been dumbed down, and it makes me want to weep for them. And occasionally, at least in my heart and in my soul, I shed at least an internal tear for these people. However, I don't have time to live worried about people I can't help. I do my show, I do Miyagi mornings, I put out all the information I do my training, I do what limited consulting people can get me to do. I take time to talk to individuals who get in touch with me. I can't talk to all of them, but sometimes I take time and I'm like, I can do something here, and I put all of that in because I believe in effing tomorrow. Because I'm an optimist. And I understand that there's a shitload of people that are going to get run over and ground up by this. There's a shitload of people that are going to line up and take a vaccine that's probably going to harm them in some way for a disease that they do not need it for, that barely works anyway. You know what I can do about it? Square root of F all. All the information you need about this, if you want to make an informed decision, is there. If you go get it, I can't force feed it to you. What I can do is work with the willing. And what I can do is build. That is the definition of being an optimist. And you won't ever build shit without optimism. Do you know how optimistic you have to be to say, you know what? I'm going to quit my job and start a business. Do you know how optimistic you have to be when that business is crushing you to the ground, but you know it's not because it's wrong, it's because you got it wrong, and it's just going to take a little more to come out the other side of it and to continue through it, to look your wife in the eyes like I did at the beginning of TSP and say, I know that I'm working 12 hours a day in a corporate job and I'm barely awake where I'm not working on building this, but give me 6 more months and it will all be worth it. Do you know how much optimism that takes? A metric fucking shit ton. And let me tell you what you need to do about optimism. My old unit in the Army, Echo 228th Aviation, right? The Winged Warriors out of Panama. Get some. That was our company motto. Get some. Somewhat, whatever the hell you need to get whatever you're trying to do done, because we do not have tasks. We don't have jobs. We have freaking missions. And if that mission means that somebody's got to die to get it done, then that's what it means. That's the military. That attitude is the attitude that winners have. It doesn't always have to mean that somebody's going to die. It's the attitude. It's the attitude. Obviously, I'm trying to build a business. This guy's in my way, so I'm going to hit him with a brick in the head and kill him. That's not good. That's not what that means. What that means is whatever it does take. A little bit of blood, a little bit of sweat, a whole bunch of tears. Don't give a shit. It's worth it because tomorrow. Optimism. Optimism. The entire point of the way that humanity has been treated is to destroy optimism. That's how they control you. That's how they break you. That's how they domesticate you. The cow doesn't try to push through the fence that's going to zap it because it's domesticated. Because it's domesticated. It's given up. It's lost its optimism. I live here, so you know what it settles for? Hay and straw and being milked. Sound like the people you know? When they destroy your optimism, oh, I can have some UBI if I'm a good little boy and do what I'm told. Okay, yeah. Ooh, we got a stimulus. Yay, here's some money that's going to cost you 5 times what they gave you in future liabilities as they destroy the money you already had in the bank. You'll make that deal because you don't have any fucking optimism. Because you believe this is as good as it's going to get. You won't build anything. You might even build a doghouse or something like that, but you won't build anything that matters. You won't build anything thinking about next year, next week, next freaking century. We are at a point in humanity right now where we need to be thinking 7 generations out. How is what I'm doing and what I'm teaching others going to impact my great-great-grandchildren? You know who does that? Optimists. I don't care how bad it is, because there's always opportunity. In fact, in some ways, the more asleep the people around you become, the greater the opportunity. As I've said on the show before, fortunes were built through the depressions in this country, through the early 1900s depression, through the Great Depression, through the World War years. Through the stagflation of the 1970s, people built fortunes because the opportunity lies when things are bad, not when things are good. An old mentor of mine named Frank Madron once taught me, and this guy was a redneck from North Carolina, from the mountains of North Carolina, with a Harvard MBA. A Harvard MBA holding redneck is a dangerous man. And he said to me, Jack, and I was very young at the time, and he was talking about how, when times are good, everybody looks successful. He said even a turkey can fly in a tornado. That's another saying, rising tides float all boats. But the opportunity comes when the chips are down, if you're looking to the future. Hope this was a good one for you on the first one back. Might be a little out of my rhythm, voice might be a little strained, but it's going to be a good week of Miyagi warnings, and we'll try to get you some footage, even if it's not in the Miyagi Morning Show, of that new Miyagi this week. Take care, guys. See you tomorrow.